Town Council to order. As we always do, we'll take a moment of reflection, and I hope you'll keep in mind that this is National Police Week, and I hope you will keep our first responders and our police officers in your thoughts and prayers as we go out. So let's take a moment. Thank you. You will stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Councilman Casey Jenkins if he would lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move to public hearings. We have two public hearings scheduled tonight. One is the purchase of property located on the southern side of Cambria Street Northwest, approximately 2.34 acre tax parcel 466-A-AC2 for $370,000. Is there anyone here that would like to address this matter? Hearing none, I will close that part of the public hearing. Our next is fiscal year 25-26 budget.
Good evening. I'm just going to pull up the presentation. We just have a quick few slides just to give you kind of a brief recap of where we are in the budget. How we got here, the department head submitted to the finance director and town manager in late January of 2025. Then Randy and Scott and I met with each of the department heads late February, early March. The original 25-26 proposed budget was presented to you guys on March 25th. Then you guys have had work sessions on April 19th and 29th. The budget has been advertised on April 9th and 16th. It is posted on the website, and then we have the public hearing tonight. So there's been a few changes that we've had come around, either through the work sessions or some items that we had to adjust in the budget. So this is just a brief recap of where the top line is, where it was in the proposed budget that was presented on March 25th. And then each side shows how the revenues have changed and how expenditures have changed. I can go over those very quickly. For revenues, we've had increased revenues on moving capital to the FY26 budget. The original budget thought we were going to be able to start these projects in the current fiscal year, and we're not going to be able to, so all of that's been pushed to the 26 budget. We have a heat grant that we got notification that we'll receive for the next year. We also got that this year, so we're going to go ahead and add that to the budget for next year, and then we won't have to come back with the supplemental appropriation. And then finally, on the revenue side, we updated the CDBG grant. This is additional revenue. You'll see the exact amount on the expenditure side, so it's a net zero. Switching to the expenditure side, we had to add the NRV housing amount. We changed the community support based on feedback from the work sessions from you guys. The increased cost in fire equipment, we discussed that in one of the work sessions. Here's the other side of moving those projects from the 24-25 budget into the 26 budget. Based on feedback from the work session, we removed the sign for the park and ride, the $25,000. And also from the work sessions, we removed the Christiansburg Huckleberry Park overflow parking. We removed it from the capital and moved it into assigned fund balance. And then also, I realized that I had put the public works facility in the water and sewer fund. It can't be in the enterprise fund, so that's been moved to the operating capital budget for $360,000, and it's a net zero effect on there. We recently found out that the price of the alligator slide for painting has decreased by $15,000, so we've removed that from the budget. And then the $12,500 is the other side of the heat grant, and the $288 is the CDBG, and that's where we are. Next steps, public hearing tonight, adjust the budget and additional items that the council would have to suggest for changes. And then the adoption dates are there, but we have to have one by June 30th. And that's it.
Yeah. Is there anyone here to address the 25-26 budget?
Christine Waltz, 1370 Rigby Street. I noticed that there is no changes in taxes, but there's a $1 increase to water. And I recognize that it's not a tax increase, but for everybody who gets a bill every month, it is extra money coming out of our budget. I've gone to your water meetings. What's been said is that it's going to cost you about 20 cents to make yourselves even with the water authority, and then next year it's supposed to be 19 cents. 20 plus 19 is 39. I do realize you also have some things coming up today. I guess you're voting on the $180,000 for your study. But as far as the actual leaks, you don't have a number yet. I really wish that you would reconsider the dollar until you know some numbers. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Chris Waltz, 1370 Ruby Street. I've gone to the EMS hearings and the budget hearings, and, at the last one, saying that they're gonna hold off on hiring any more people until the study by the county that nobody really wanted to wait on in the first place gets done. But I have a friend who used to be a volunteer for Christiansburg Rescue. And, we've talked over the years, and he said that pretty much they had run all the volunteers off. And then I noticed a sign on the town signs that says now hiring volunteers, which of course you don't hire volunteers to work for free. But, and I was talking to him, and he goes, well, yeah, because they laid off 30-some part-time employees. But it came at the budget hearing that they don't need any, and at the EMS, we're gonna wait, we don't need any more. But if you're laying off the part-timers, and it was also addressed that they had missed some calls, because they were swamped, and someone else had to take up the slack. Well, if you lay off all the part-timers, that's gonna happen. And he said something they said something about a budget shortfall or something is the reason they were all laid off. But in January, you were talking about hiring 2 to replace them, and then basically giving the chief an open check to hire the rest that he needed, because he's been asking for 4 for years, every year. But that never made it into the budget to hire any. I don't know what exactly y'all are doing, but I can tell you that I'm sure most of us citizens would actually like to, if something bad happens, make it to the hospital before we're dead. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to address the budget hearings tonight? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearings. We will go to the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the April 22nd and April 22nd meeting, April 29th budget hearing. The bill list, task order number 3 with Hurt & Profit for acoustic leak detection and field analysis in the amount of $180,000. Award a construction contract to King General Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $655,245.39 for the construction of the East Main Street Sidewalk Project. Resolution recognizing May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. A resolution recognizing May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week. We need to set a council public hearing for July the 8th for a conditional use permit request by Main Street Preservations LLC, property owner, and Joseph L. Simmons, applicant, to allow residential use, specifically the construction of 10 townhomes in the B3 General Business District, property located at 511 Roanoke Street, approximately 1.08 acres of land, tax parcel 528-35-1. The property is designated as business commercial on the future land use map of the town of Christiansburg.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, discussions?
Yes,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I apologize, I should have brought this up earlier. I was not unable to attend the second budget work session. So if we could separate those out, then I could still vote on them separately. The minutes from the 22nd and the 29th, that would be appreciated.
Motion that we can
Thank you.
separate that one.
Is that a motion and a second? We had a motion.
Yeah. Yes.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second,
And then
Madam Clerk?
can we,
I've got to
we're gonna finish this one, right? With him?
take the vote on it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Okay,
we can go
we'll
on to
come back.
something else, yes.
And then we'll
Clerk.
come back to have discussion.
Yes, ma'am, we
Okay.
will.
Why do you raise your voice?
Councilman Bishop,
Very nice.
Councilwoman Bowman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins,
Aye.
Councilman Wilson,
Aye.
That is 6-0. Now, Ms. Hicks?
That was very rude of you, sir. For the town council public hearing for July the 8th, I don't have a problem with this, but I have a couple of questions to Randy. I don't see like there was a link to it. Did this go to planning commission?
It will have to.
It will have to, okay. And now, my second question is, it seems like there is a public hearing for the conditional use permit request, but then is this also a request for changing of zoning to residential?
The B3 district allows residential use with a conditional use permit.
Okay, but my question is, if this is for a B3 general business, which allows you to do anything really in the property, my biggest concern is, in this designated under the business commercial for future land, under the map of 2013 of Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan, I guess my concerns is, and I guess those will be addressed during planning commission, but my biggest concerns is when this takes place, if we allow them to build homes, for example, or townhomes, and then will that change it for people to be able to not have businesses in those areas, right? It will put restrictions as far as opening business inside those residential locations,
If it
right?
is zoned B3 general business and it's developed as residential, the people could still obtain home occupations under the home occupation definitions. So that would be a possibility. Otherwise, they could potentially develop the property for commercial use otherwise, but they would have to have parking, necessary parking, landscaping. In all honesty, he's probably going to install 2 parking spaces per unit. So that, it's probably going to be difficult for them to convert it to some type of business use. Would they have a right to do that? They would. They still would if it's still zoned B3. And like I say, they could still pursue a home occupation in a residence.
But that's the existing right they have now
Yes,
with no
correct, correct.
change.
They could pursue a business on the property now as it is, correct.
Because I think I have like the same thing going on for the other item under, discussion and action by mayor regarding that. So I guess we'll talk about that when we get there. I'm just concerned that we may be putting ourselves in a situation later on where, that we allow these residential units to take place, but then if someone decides to have a business and then residential people next to it will not agree to it, there is nothing we can do against that.
Well, I'll point out, this is a conditional use permit, and town council can put any conditions you see fit on the request. So if you wanted to place a condition that there be no business use beyond allowed home occupations, you could do something like that.
For how long did those permits, stay within the,
They're valid for 2 years unless it's developed as residential, then it's basically that, it goes with the property if they develop it.
So if they develop it as a residential, but then later on, someone that buys or rents the property starts to have an open business in there.
A proffer would carry with the property even if it changes hands.
Oh, so it will cover for the rest of,
Well, if it's a proffer or even the conditional use permit, the condition would carry with it as a residential unit as well. And there is a difference between proffer would go with a rezoning request.
okay.
But a condition would still carry with the property if council placed it, even if it's sold.
Okay. And I have another question. The same owner that has this property, Mr. Simmons, is the same owner that's selling the property in Cambridge, correct?
On Cambridge Street, correct.
Okay.
Well, it's a corporation.
Okay, well, it's the same. Okay, just curiosity. Thank you so much.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the April 22nd minutes. Item B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Correct.
Councilman Bishop. Councilwoman Bowman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Under item A, the April 29th, 2025 minutes of the Budget Committee meeting, public hearing meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop. Councilwoman Bowman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Abstain.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 5-0 and 1 abstention. Thank you very much. We have no introductions and presentations tonight. Under committee comments, citizens' comments, do we have anyone here that would like to address council on any matter? If so, if you'll come to the microphone, here's your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. I came in to inquire if,
Your name, sir, name and address.
Glenn Walters,
Okay.
1805 South Franklin Street. And I came in to inquire if the town might have any plans in the works to repave South Franklin Street. And I came in to express my concerns about the condition of the street. And I have a few specifics that I would like to put before the council. And I would be curious as if any of the members live on South Franklin Street. You would probably know what I'm talking about. But all the way from the courthouse out to the town limits is just a long series of potholes, patches, and cracked up, crumbled pavement. Essentially, in my opinion, that's what it amounts to. If you drive out to the town limits, you're in for a rough, bumpy ride. And I would point out, this is one of the 4 main roads that leads out of town. But my philosophy is that the town residents who pay taxes, they should at least enjoy the privilege of driving on smooth roads around town. I have a few specifics, but one thing that I would point out is that the state repaved 615, which starts at the end of the town limits, last summer. So apparently the state felt that it needed to be repaved. And also, what you're dealing with, 208 South Franklin, many years ago, they dug a ditch across the road there and patched it. It's a very rough, I think it's about a 1-inch curb that you hit, and it's a severe jolt when you hit it. Got a few more blocks, 516 South Franklin Street, which is close to the end of the cemetery. It's the same thing. There's another rough patch, and it's a severe jolt when you hit it. Right after Summit Ridge Road, there's a long series of potholes 1705 South Franklin, which is in the curve at the farm of Mike Sowers. They, every year in the winter, they patch all the potholes there. So when you go around that curve, it's a thumpity thump thump where you hit all the patches. At the end of the town limits is the worst spot of all. And again, it's just a cracked up, crumbled, patched up remains of what once was a paved road, essentially, is what it amounts to. So I would urge the members of the council, if you get the opportunity, to at least drive out to the end of the town limits. And I'm pretty sure you would agree with me that it's in dire need of repaving. Okay, thank you.
Mike, do you know if, where it is on the projected paving schedules?
I believe that one is gonna be next year,
Do what?
in next budget cycle, FY '26.
Okay.
It's supposed to be next year. We're doing our annual paving right now, for the streets for this fiscal year. And I believe we've got that one slated for next fiscal year. It's probably gonna take about half our budget, to pave South Franklin Street out of our, if the budget is approved, for that item. Yes.
So it's getting close, Glenn.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else here to address council? If no one, I will close the citizens' comments. We'll go to committee reports. Any committee meetings this past week? Ron? Casey, Jim? You're good. We'll go under discussion by mayor and council. We have a conditional use permit request by Shaw Development LLC, applicants for property owner to allow single-family or two-family dwellings in the B3 General Business District on property located on the western side of Plum Street Northeast, across from Trent Drive Northeast, approximately .776 acres, tax parcel 497-2-B. And this property is designated residential in the future land use map. The comprehensive plan public hearing was held on April 22nd, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussions?
And once again, so this is just, I know the properties around there are kind of residential and definitely kind of fits what they are wanting to do. And I'm actually excited to see the single families and the dwellings that they're wanting to build. On the other hand, it's a B3 General Business District. Are there any restrictions as far as businesses being able to be in that location, or what was?
It would be a similar situation with the property on Roanoke Street. If you are issuing a conditional use permit in the B3 district, then they would have the right to build the residential units. They could still get a home occupation for a business there. Although, let's say they build two single-family houses and a homeowner wanted to convert the residence to a business, they potentially could, provided that they install parking, landscaping, and that the house would have to meet commercial building codes for the use. But that would be a possibility, although that would be a possibility now that somebody could build a business there because it's zoned B3 General Business.
But is that different story when you're building houses from the beginning to changing it later on? So my biggest concern is like, we had given.
It would be considered a change of use from the conditional use permit approval to, let's say they built a single-family residence, so they have conditional use permit approval. That would be considered a change of use, and we could require a site plan. And like I say, basically they would have to do the same things that they would have to do for a business. They'd have to install paved parking, basically anything building code related that they might have to do. You know, if they need a handicap bathroom, they would have to install that. So, I mean, it would be a possibility, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, particularly for a single-family house. I think it's a lot less likely for a townhouse, just because of limited parking.
Yeah,
But
but
it would be a possibility.
and like I said to you, I'm not against the project whatsoever, and I like these type of projects for sure. I just wanna make sure that we're fair to everybody else, especially to people that have asked for, you know, a request of changes because they're wanting to do a childcare or a place or something like that, and they're not able to do it because they're in a residential area, so,
And
that
we-
was just my main concern.
We, of course, do allow family day homes in residential areas. You can have 1 through 5 children by right in the residential area, and you can have 6 through 12 exclusive of your own children or children that live on the premises.
But there were still
With
restrictions
a
by
conditional
us,
use permit.
right?
Yes.
Because, I mean, we did fencing and all kinds of
6 through
stuff.
12 would take a conditional use permit, it also takes a license through social services, and they would inspect it.
Yeah, okay, no
Just
problem.
one point of clarity on the conditional use permit, the planning commission placed a condition in regards to stormwater. The applicant, I guess, raised concerns with the wording of that, and staff proposed I guess, alternative wording for that we felt comfortable with. Is that part of the motion of the condition? Which condition would that be?
Yes, that was part of my motion, the change that was included by staff.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions?
Randy, is there any way that you can kind of show the land on the screen really quick for me?
You can bring it up,
As a map?
yeah, Google Maps.
Yes.
Maybe Montgomery County GIS. Montgomery County GIS. Pushes for GIS.
Kevin, you have any pictures on your phone?
Actually, in the packet, I think there's an area in the packet.
Where is the problem with the stormwater on the pictures, because I didn't see any of that. And can you show me under that map where the stormwater?
Yeah, the property there in question, you can see Church Street and Cambria Street. So it's basically just off of Church Street, on the north side of Church Street.
And where is the stormwater?
They would have to determine that, and they don't necessarily have to have a stormwater pond or facility. They have to basically get stormwater to an adequate channel, to a channel. The aerial, I think the aerial photo is below that. If you-
So there will not be a stormwater from what you're saying,
It
right?
doesn't necessarily have to have a stormwater pond. They would have to have they would have to meet Virginia erosion and sediment control regulations, and if they disturb more than 10,000 square feet, they have to have an erosion and sediment control plan.
Okay.
But that doesn't necessarily mean they have to have a stormwater pond.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop? Councilwoman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Hi.
Councilwoman Hockett?
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins?
Aye.
Councilman Wilson?
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you. Resolution for fiscal year 24-25 budget amendment number 4. And there was an attachment to it. I think it is for $90,500. $88,000 of it is be used to purchase the land that we're looking to close on. And the other $2,500 was, I think, repairs to the aquatic center roof in preparation to get the solar in there, right? Close enough.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to second. Questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop? Councilwoman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Hi.
Councilwoman Hockett?
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins?
Aye.
Councilman Wilson?
Aye.
That is 6-0, thank you. Appropriation for fiscal year 24-25, budget amendment number 4, $90,500.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Got it covered. Any comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop? Councilwoman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Hi.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Staff reports, town manager.
Just mention that the farmer's market begins this Thursday from 3 to 7 at the rec center. We've revamped it a little bit with more vendors and event themes, and we encourage y'all to come out and share if you can. The beach bash is Friday, May 30th from 8:30 to 8 at the Aquatic Center. Let's see. The Launch Christiansburg Mini Workshop, the first one is going to be tomorrow from 5:30 until 8:30. That is free, and the topic is business finance. Facade Grant Workshop is going to be held Thursday, May 22nd from 6 to 7 at the Rec Center, and that's in regards to applying for the facade grants.
Was that the 27th, Randy?
22nd.
Second, okay.
We are planning West Main Street closure, and we're planning this in part because of our street closure for the work at Hickok Street, but we're also doing it in conjunction with a necessary closure for the bell tower at the Great Road building. So beginning May 21st, a portion of West Main Street at the intersection of Hickok Street will be closed as crews begin to repair the structural integrity of the adjacent privately owned building. The urgency of this work is an effort to resolve public safety concerns. This closure will coincide with the work of the town's Hickok Street Drainage Improvement Project that will result in closure of Main Street within the same area. The continuous work between the two projects will result in the closure of Main Street, West Main Street at the Hickok Street intersection from May 21st through February 2026. Local traffic on Main Street will be permitted, however, there will be no through traffic. Downtown businesses will remain open and accessible either by vehicle or foot traffic, and directional signage will be in place. Also mention that I guess we had discussed the meeting with the county. I know the county has asked for potential meeting dates. I had emailed you, I did get, and I know you had mentioned the possibility of maybe waiting until the study. Do you want to wait until the study to meet with the county, or do you want to meet with them in advance?
I think we should meet as soon as possible.
I think, honestly, they have already approved their budget. I don't think they're gonna budge on it, and if they were serious about meeting, they would have been back with us after we sent the letter. So I think we would be fine to wait, because it should be done by the end of the year, or within a few months. And at that point in time, based on the results, they'll be in their budget process, and we can make a formal request to be included, that figure to be included in their budget at that time.
I personally feel that, right now we're giving them the basis to say, no, we are not gonna meet because you guys decided not to meet as well. So I think that anytime that there is a chance that we may be able to have open conversations with them, we should take it. And so, we should just be able to tell them, you make the day and we'll make sure that we make it happen. But I think whenever we keep putting it off every year and every year, I have been in council for over 7 years, and we keep seeing it happening over and over again. We have never met with them. And we are inside the county limits. So I personally feel that it's our responsibility to make sure that we fight for our citizens, and we should be able to have these conversations and open conversations with them. So, and that's my opinion.
There's only one item that would be on that meeting agenda, and that item is emergency services. I think we need the study to have the talking points and the full, complete, and data justified request that we want to present to the county. We won't have that, so we'll meet with them and say, well, we're waiting till the study to make a request, and I think that's a waste of their time.
I think we requested $800 and some odd $1,000 in my letter in February, and that was part of that was to include the 300 and something. So we basically asked them for another 500,000, and it's like the school resource officers. I don't think, we've never been successful in having a meeting with the board of supervisors. We've tried on and off for years. We've worked with we tried to do the school resource officers, And it's kind of like, you know, they just don't have time to talk to us. But I think if we have concrete figures based on this study and a concrete plan as to what, well, okay, you're not gonna pay us, then here's what we're gonna do and here's what you're gonna do. Once we have that in line, that's what we can go to them and stick to it. So
Randy,
if it's, all right, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Randy, was the answer from them that they didn't want to meet with us? Because from what I'm hearing you say is that they're okay with meeting with us, we just gotta make the schedule, right?
Correct. They've asked for additional dates, although I think that was in part because we wanted to meet with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, we should meet with them.
Can I say something? I was at the meeting where this was discussed in the Board of Supervisors, and my takeaway from it was not that they did not want to meet. They actually all suggested that they were open to meeting, very much so. But they were upset because they didn't feel like they had all of the facts. And I do believe, and I'm glad to hear you say it, Tanya, that we do need to wait on this study, and we need to go with them when we have the facts. But I do believe that they are open and wanting to have this conversation at that time.
Okay, I think that's true, and I think there's, you know, that gives us time. We kind of moved on this thing fairly quickly in the request for the funding and not really knowing what, okay, well, what are we gonna do if they say no? And I think this gives us a time and a plan that we can make the arrangements and make whatever changes and we might need to make. So Kim, I appreciate the waiting. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think Tim, several of us have even commented that it's, you know, let's just wait and see what they've got out there. We spent all the time and effort, Scott and everybody, and Billy, thank goodness, spent all the time and effort making the, putting the figures together for us. And, but does it seem like they had time to digest it, or they were ever planned on digesting it or not, I don't know. So I like to wait if that's possible.
I am actually really happy that all of you came down to thinking about that way, because I don't remember you guys actually, some of you wanted to wait for that study. So I'm happy to know that you guys are actually listening to what some of us have been saying, to wait for those studies to happen, to have some more data. So as far as the conversation goes, I think we should always have conversations with them. As far as the money asking and everything, I am really glad, especially since we're actually planning to build buildings and things like that when they're also trying to do the same thing. Randy, I have another question. You were talking about the Hickox Street project, and I do have a question regarding that one. The building on Gray and Main, is that building, I know that it seems like there is some issues with the bell and stuff like that, obviously, but who is paying for that work? Is the private organization paying for that, or?
The
Property
it's
owners.
Property owners.
Okay. And then as far as like the parking and everything that's taking place, that is being used for the construction and stuff, I heard that there has been some payments to them for parking and stuff. Do you have a number to what that's costing the town, or who is paying for that?
If it is the town paying, I can get you a number for it. There's-
Can I have some numbers for that,
The
please?
the town doesn't have an agreement. The town hasn't paid anything.
But we're paying the contractors, right?
Correct.
And they're giving us information on how much that is, right?
The parking adjacent to Commerce Street that is the contractor's utilizing, that's an agreement between our contractor and the private property owner. The town is not party to that.
Can we find out how much that is?
I suppose I could ask, but
That would be great.
we could find out. I could ask, but it's up to them if they want to divulge that.
I'm sure they probably will.
I don't know why they wouldn't, but
Okay,
I could ask.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Anything else,
I
Randy?
think I just hear a general consensus that we'll wait until the study.
Correct.
And I'll just mention that Scott and Billy have a fire and rescue commission meeting with the county this Thursday too, so we'll try to keep you up to date with that. And May 21st, next Wednesday, we have the council work session, regular work session scheduled. Do you want to meet then? And if so, what topics would you?
Yes, please, the budget. This needs to be brought up. There's still a lot of questions about this budget. Obviously, you know, you got merits in there, you got, can we just do one instead of both? The COLA and the merits. There is also the water increases. I'm not okay with charging the citizens another dollar for 1,000 gallons. I was actually looking the figures that we used to charge citizens in the town limits. Back in 2012, it was $4.40 for 1,000 gallons, and now it's $11. You know, and then, you know, within 10 years, it has almost double. 2015, it was $5.50,
Okay, let's
and so
get that into the budget work session, if that's fine.
there's just a lot of.
And if you would like, so you, in this budget work session, was that you want to discuss the pay increases, the COLA increases,
I want to
the
send out a
water,
list of
the water
questions.
increase? Is that correct?
Yes,
So we have facts and figures covered? Anything else?
I will
Pay-
have to send an email with the rest of the questions, but we want a work session, meeting. I want a budget work session. I think it's important because especially since there's a lot of stuff, especially now since you're bringing out that thing, I want to find out really what took place, and I don't know if Tim or Tanya or Randy can explain to me some of this information too, because Mr. Walls brought up something regarding the employees for the rescue squad. And I also heard from a whistleblower that told me that there were 36 part-timers from the rescue squad that were either cut down in hours completely, furlough. Their excuse from the town was, from someone in the town was that there was a glitch in the system. And I understand that all I have heard from being in town council is that there was something that happened and it was all related to the medication stuff. So I kind of want to get information what's being taking place. And I also heard that a lot of these calls are actually that if there is 3 calls for 3 vehicles, there is not enough people to run for several vehicles. There is part-timers that are completely quitting because they're not getting paid, they're not having enough hours. I kind of want to get some more details about what's going on, because for me, I want to make sure that everybody is taken care of. And, you know, if there is people that are required to do their jobs and we don't have them, I think that needs to be brought up to our attention. And so can you kind of tell me what's going on with the rescue squad and the part-timers?
Okay. Do you want to discuss it now or at the work session?
The work session.
Work session.
Okay.
Okay.
We did it in a work session. Okay, anything else, Randy?
Is that it? The budget, basically these items for the work session?
That's my understanding.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, all righty, council reports, Mr. Bishop?
Excuse me, Mayor.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute, you never have anything to say. You
I
never
got
have-
one short update.
Okay, very good.
Christiansburg Police Department was successful in prosecuting 5 more vape cases last week. So those are sale of vape products to people underage. So just want to let you all know.
When you prosecute, does the business lose their license? What takes place if something happens like this? Can you explain a little bit what's being?
If they get a fine for the first offense, it's $500. For the second offense, it's $2,500. The state deals with the licensing, so we're not involved with that.
So, and then what happens then the third time?
I think it's probably another $2,500. We haven't had a third time yet.
Okay,
Hopefully they learn after the first time.
okay. Well, thank you for doing
Is
that.
this the same place, or is it different places throughout the county?
Different places.
Okay, so it's not.
Different places and different individuals as
Okay,
well.
very good.
but we're only doing it within the town limits.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, Reed? You surprised me with your,
That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
We all thought
Any
we were
other-
in trouble.
any other staff members? Count, Mr. Bishop,
No reports.
Ms. Hicks,
No reports.
Ms. Hockett.
Just wanted to say that the Rock and Main Street event was awesome. It was so cool to see so many people out, and Parks and Rec staff did an awesome job. Public Safety did an awesome job, and it was a great event.
That was on, yeah. Casey?
Nothing to report.
Ms. Bowman?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Wilson?
I just want to reiterate, it's Police Week. Chief and the police officers are rocking the
Throwbacks.
heritage uniforms. And also just to let you know that the Chamber of Commerce is doing another local bingo, small business bingo thing, the month of May and June. So if you visit certain small businesses or local art or whatever, get your stamps, mark them, you get entered in for a prize with the Chamber of Commerce.
So I would, kind of filling in on an email that I got from Brad Epperly Saturday. In addition to the Rocking Main Street that the rec department put on, they had 40-some girls softball teams in a tournament at Harkrader, and they had a lacrosse tournament at the Christopher Huckleberry Park, and they used every available parking place and overflow parking the day of that event. So that was a big day for our rec department guys. So, any other business to come before council? Hearing none, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.